Hello and welcome to Stamping with Heart. My name is Melinda Hart. I am an independent demonstrator with Stampin Up. I am so happy to have you here today. I am so excited about today's project. It's actually this project right here. This is my most pinned card on Pinterest to date. So I thought that this would be a great one to share in a tutorial. Very simple, but just really makes a statement on trend. This is a trend that's going to be sticking around for a while. Let me know in the comments if this is a trend that you love, if you have decor or cards or themes that you love or somebody in your home loves, just like this one. If you like this video, I would appreciate it if you could click the like button. If you have not already subscribed to my channel, I would appreciate it if you would subscribe. And if you know anybody who is crafty, I am a new channel. I'm really trying to build my subscriber base. So just if you know anyone out there who might be interested in card making or crafting tutorials, or is interested in DIY or party favors, I think they might really love my channel. So I would appreciate it if you would share if you know someone. And you can also find me in other places on social media as well. You can find me on Facebook at Stamping with Heart, Instagram, Stamping with Heart, and also on Pinterest at Stamping with Heart. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get to the tutorial and have a great day. Thank you. Okay, so today we are going to be making this card. I'm going to show you a few options of what you can do, but this is actually my most pinned card on Pinterest. So I thought that this would be a fun one to make today. I also thought I would kind of get a jump on making Christmas cards. I wanted to let you all know just right out of the gate that you can actually get all of these products out of the annual catalog. We also have a holiday catalog right now, which has a lot of great holiday projects, but I had made this one, I had originally designed this back in July, and I used all annual catalog products before the holiday catalog was available. So you can find all of that here. I'm going to be talking just a little bit about colors in the annual catalog in just a minute, but let's go through what we're going to be using today. So this truck is from the Ride With Me stamp set, but I actually did get the bundle, and I'll show you what I mean by that and why. And then we're also going to be using the Buffalo Check stamp set, and we're going to be using the Stamparatus with our Buffalo Check for Valentine's Day, because pink trucks are awesome. So this is the lovely lipstick with the black, basic black, whisper white, and then the matching Stampin' blend for that. This was what I ended up doing with Grapefruit Grove. This is actually a different stamp set, but I did include it to show you with the sample since it has the Buffalo Check background. That stamp set is called Wildly Happy. I don't have that here today, but at least you can see how we ended up using those colors. So that was one of the in colors. And then here is a harvest card using the Call Me Clover Pumpkin Pie and the basic black with Memento black ink. Okay, so the card that we're going to be making today is actually the Merry Christmas card. Here is the Stamparatus. If you've ever used one of these, I was brand new to this. I actually bought this when I joined Stampin' Up. So for my starter kit, I included the Stamparatus because I was so fascinated with this. So you actually get two of these plates which hinge and go right into this. You can use these for bigger stamps, or if you're using multiple stamps, or if you're stamping one image multiple times. This is a workhorse product, and this is also a time saver. So we're going to put the buffalo check stamp on here. This is a cling mount stamp, and this is big. So this is what it looks like on the back. It's nice and sticky. I'm just going to adhere this right onto the plate. I don't know if I'm on camera, so I'll unhinge this for this part, but we'll just go right in the center. How about that? There's a grid that you can use to try to line up your stamp. Let me see if you guys can see this. I'm just going to try to follow the line of that grid so that I know that this is straight. Okay. All right, and there we go. Could also do this from the top, and I think I like that better. And let me tell you about the other thing that you can do with the Stamparatus that's so wonderful, especially with bigger stamps. They have magnets that actually stick to the bottom here. You have magnets on both sides. I broke this magnet, you guys, but it's still good. You can still use it. So we're going to be using these today. And what you do is when you put your paper down to stamp, you secure your paper so it doesn't move with the magnets. And if you don't get your stamp perfect the first time, especially if you're new to stamping or you have a really big space to cover on your stamp like we do with the buffalo check background stamp, you can stamp this over and over and over again until you get it right, and it's perfect. So the Stamparatus was one of my favorite, if not my favorite, purchases in terms of tools using for stamps. So I'm going to go ahead and ink this up. So this is the Memento black ink. You just want to ink your surface. Okay, so basically I want every single little square here to be nice and saturated in the Memento black ink. You could also use tone on tone color. I did a few to show you different colors and different intensities, so that you can kind of see what that looks like. So as soon as we stamp this, I'll show you. We're going to stamp black onto the Poppy Parade paper in this case. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Okay. What I'm checking here is to make sure that my magnets are clear. So now we're going to put down our paper. I've already cut my Poppy Parade down. That will cover. So let me just put my magnets where they need to be. Okay, and then we just press down. So just gonna press down, make sure we get the ink evenly distributed. We'll see how we do. Okay, so if you want a little bit of an aged look, you could leave it here. I just want to show you that on this one, I went over this multiple times to get that bold look. Okay, so I'm going to put this aside because I already have one done, but you would basically just ink that again and go down and just keep pressing and re-inking until you got it to the consistency that you want. I think I did mine either two or three times. So the next step is getting all of your pieces together and putting everything together. Okay. These are all the pieces that have already been cut. I'll give you the measurements in just a moment. But now we're going to stamp our truck and color our truck. Okay, so I'm not going to use the Stamparatus for the truck, but you could. You very easily could. So what I want to do is get the truck and the trees. Okay, so this is a clear. These are photopolymer stamps. So as opposed to the red rubber stamp with the cling backing, this is a photopolymer stamp. Just going to adhere that to my block. And then I also have the tree, the Christmas tree. I'm just going to close this up. I'm going to be coloring with the Stampin' Blends today. So we're going to use the Memento black ink because that is an ink that will not smear or move when we're coloring with markers, which is an important consideration. So let me ink this up. It's nice to have the clear because you can see right through it. If you need to position this in a certain place, I'm going to be fussy cutting these pieces out and propping them up with dimensionals to give the card some dimension, but you could also just stamp it and cut the flat piece on to the card. I can see through the stamp that that is pretty well inked. So I'm just going to stamp here. Okay, perfect. We're going to stamp that again. It doesn't matter how close we stamp these together because I'm going to cut the images out. Okay. And then we're going to stamp some trees. I'm going to be fussy cutting this, so we'll just cut some trees in a row. I have 2 trees on my Christmas card. How many can we fit? Probably 3 comfortably. Let's do a few more. And now let's do some coloring. So I am going to be using the Stampin' Blends in light and dark for Call Me Clover. Okay. And then we're also going to be using the Poppy Parade for the truck. This is very, very simple, very basic coloring where you have your overall color and then you have you add a little bit of a dimension with the darker shade. Nothing too intense with our coloring today. Just keeping it clean, simple, bright. So let me I'm going to do this one. You have the nib tip and that marker tip. I got to find out what that's called. I'm going to use the bigger one since we're doing the majority of coloring. And I do go a little bit outside the bottom here for when I'm cutting it, but these are alcohol markers. They dry very quickly. They blend beautifully together, hence them being called Stampin' Blends. You can buy these as a combo or individually, light, dark, or both. I always get both. I have used Call Me Clover quite a bit, so this one is starting to go. My Stampin' Blends are very well loved. But let me see if I can just get that little tip there. I'm going to take the darker green and we're going to do some of our darker shading here. And the artists who designed this set, the Ride With Me set, just did such a great job with the illustrating. And I'm just going to follow their lead. And I'm basically going to just follow their branches and things that they have already drawn in here. I'm not going to be using these little wispies today. We're going to cut that away. And if you don't, feel like fussy cutting that away, you just wouldn't ink that part of the stamp and it wouldn't stamp. So if you would want a third tree, you'll have it. Or just in case, you're getting used to the blends and just learning coloring, you want to have an extra. I'm going to take my dark Call Me Clover. Let's see. I'm going to just follow the branches here, and you can see the difference that makes. Just starts to jump right off of the page. You don't have to follow every single branch if you don't want to. You can also think about that in terms of like light and shadow. Do the same thing. I'm just going to kind of follow the outline of the tree and then the branches. And if you don't want this to be so drastic, I'll go back in with the lighter color and we'll just sort of blend it out a little. So I'm just going to go back in there and I'm going to just color again. I'm going to get to those lines. We have that dimension, but you can kind of see that it's softening up a little bit. Okay, so you can see it's softer, and this one has a second layer of the green, so it's a little bit brighter. On this one, you don't see any of that detail. This is just if you were going to do Call Me Clover with just the light. We're going to cut that out in a minute, but we're going to work with our truck. We're going to color this one red, and then I think I did do an accent color, so let me go back here and look real quick. So for the detail parts of this, I actually did basic black for the wheel, and I did gray granite for the handle, and then for the hubcaps and for the what is that called, fender. So let's take a look there. So this is dark. I'm going to start with light, Poppy Parade. Taking it right to the edge. And just with the way that they've created this truck, you could, you know, do multiple different colors. Here, more detailed shading if you would want. I kept the car overall red, but you could make those different colors as well. This is that classic Christmas look. This has been a trend for a few years now, especially a part of that whole farmhouse decor movement. And it doesn't seem to be going anywhere. People really love it. And it is such a cool look. When I saw the stamp set, I was like, I have to get this because a lot of people that I know either have trucks or are obsessed with trucks. So my uncle, who recently had surgery, I sent him a thinking of you card, and I colored his truck blue because he's had a blue truck for like, I don't know, 16 years now. He takes good care of his vehicles. So I didn't know, you know, he's big, burly, strong, tough guy, but he loved it. He loved his card, and I thought that that was great. I was so happy. So you can definitely, this set is very versatile. It'll take you far. You can do a whole series, all the same or different. If you need 20 birthday cards, if you need some thinking of yous, some happy birthdays, some holidays, this will definitely get you there. Okay. So I think what I would like to do is actually color in the other elements before I start doing the darker shading. So let me just grab I apologize if my microphone cord is in the viewer. Hold on. Okay, so I buy the combos for all of my Stampin' Blends, so I always have a light and a dark. But like I said, that is an option. And it just depends on how fancy you want to get with these two. This is the dark and the light. That's what I want. I'm going to use the little nib tip here. I'm not going to get too complicated with coloring this image because I know I'm coloring a darker image on the tires. I can actually color outside the lines a little bit. No one's going to know the difference. But the only thing that I really want to do here with the darker gray granite is just color these few accent lines just to give it a little bit of dimension. But honestly, like, we're not really going to spend any time on it. It'll just be super quick. So just following these, and I'm not even going to blend it out. Let's just go. I am gonna blend out the handle, but that's it. Okay. And then we'll do the basic black and light for the wheels. Basic black alcohol markers, they spread very quickly, so it's very light strokes when you're coloring so that they don't bleed anywhere on the paper. So I want to be very careful with my basic black. Very light-handed, just go into the line. Same thing with my other wheel. And then the only part of the darker basic black that I'm going to do here is just some detail where the lines of the wheel had already been drawn by the artists, like right there and right there. Okay, and so now let's go back in with our darker Poppy Parade. And I'm just going to follow some lines. Nothing too crazy. Anywhere where you think that there might be shading or aging. It's okay that I went outside the line because I'm cutting this out. Now the one place that I did run into trouble last time, the very first time that I colored my truck red, was around the window. So I'm not going to do much there. I'll go on the outer part. Once you get used to the blends, they are so easy and wonderful to work with. So now I'm just going to go back over those lines in a little bit of a circular motion with my lighter Poppy Parade, just to soften that up. I don't want to leave it sit too long because I don't want that red to bleed into other areas. And this is the most of the detail work that you'll do with this card. The rest of it is pretty simple. If you're doing a ton of these, I would definitely recommend putting your truck in the Stamparatus and using the Stamparatus to stamp it out. But I hope I brought my scissors in here, you guys. Oh. I'm pretty sure I did. There they are. I'm going to use my paper snips. We're just going to fussy cut this out. Fussy cut just means no dye used. We're just going to edge around it with the scissors until we cut it out. And this is a nice clean image. There's not a lot of detail cutting that needs to be done. And if you happen to go outside the line with your wheels, this is your opportunity to fix it, but we did pretty good with ours. You could leave a little white outline along your truck if you'd want to, but it's not necessary for this card because it's actually going to be backed on an all white piece of paper. If you would want to do a more detailed background, or if you would want to use your designer series paper instead of the white, you could absolutely do that. They have such gorgeous papers. One of the ones that comes to mind that I think would be perfect with a card like this is the acetate, the Mercury Glass Designer acetate. Oh, it is so gorgeous. I should actually do some more of these cards using that, but that would be a great background for these trucks. Because you know it picks up that whole concept of the shiny accents of a car. Okay, we're also going to fussy cut our trees real quick. I'm just going to do 2 of the 3, but you could cut all 3 if you would want to. And I'm just following the branches of the tree. close. You can kind of see how that's coming together. I think I keep pulling this image off camera. I can't see myself filming this. I've done that a few times now, and I'm really trying to be conscious of doing everything on screen, because what's the point if you guys are watching a video and you can't see it? So I'm learning how to edit. I did figure out how to speed up a video, so I will probably be using that technique on this video as well. We shall see. Okay, here are our two trees. Okay. So I'm just going to take my Snail Adhesive . Let's position this. Got a little bit on my surface. This is why you work on paper or the grid pads. Okay. I have not found the perfect place for filming yet. So I basically keep moving my crafts around from room to room all over this place. And I don't always remember to bring everything in for the video, so we'll get better. I'll find that place. Okay. And this one, I kind of wanted it to look like the wind was blowing them a little bit out of the truck. All right, super cute. So I'm going to add this to the white piece. Oh, and I told you I was going to tell you what all of this stuff measured out to be. So let me do that real quick. I don't see my ruler. Let me try. All right, so this little piece of white is 3 3/4 in length and 2 1/2. So 2 1/2 by 3/4. So this is the 2 1/2. This is the 3/4. I'm going to get this onto the white with my dimensionals. I'm using mini dimensionals today because I recently moved around all my adhesives and I can't find my big dimensionals. But you could use whatever size works for you. And you could do this flat too if you would want. On my last one, I ended up cutting out the window, which I did like the look of, actually. But it was totally because the red had bled into the window. So you just, you know, you learn as you go. Almost there. Okay, we're going to back that onto a layering piece of black. The dimensions on this card are a little bit different than the first one that I did. This one is 4 1/4, the black layering piece, by 3. So 3 by 4 1/4. Just gonna eyeball it. Okay, and then we're gonna back that onto our piece of the buffalo check, and that measures, looks like 5 1/4 by just over 4 1/8. And I want to make sure when I put this down that there is enough room for my Merry Christmas. So this isn't adhered yet. I'm just gonna kind of size it up and make sure there's enough room before I lay down this piece. And I'm just gonna move this down a little bit. How's that look? I think that's good. Same thing, just kind of eyeballing it. Okay, for my Merry Christmas, for adhering that, I'm actually going to use my fine tip glue pen. And this usually takes a minute to dry. So I'm just going to put my block right on top of it so that it doesn't pop off of my paper while I put the glue on the back of my next die. This is also Whisper White. I did cut this out in black so that you could see what it looks like in black too, so I'll show you that. And you could also do a shadow layer where you could do black and then white on top, or vice versa. You can get as fancy as you want with these cards. There's so many options, but you could make so many of these. Oh my gosh, you could just do this and repeat over and over. And I also need my little dot for the eye, which is teeny tiny. Okay, and I'm just going to set that down for a minute. Right on top of there. The sizing of my card. So I've already scored it at 5 inches. So the length of the card is 10 by 6. So 6 inches on this side, 10 on this side. When I had done this card, I had actually measured it at 6 1/4. And in my mind, I thought it was 6. So I ended up cutting this one a little bit smaller. It's not a big deal. But that's why the measurements are just a little bit different. So because it's already scored, I'm just going to go ahead and fold this in half. Okay. This is what it would look like if you stopped here and just did, I mean, honestly, this looks great. Maybe I will do it this way because it's a little bit different, but this has a black layer before the Call Me Clover. So just so you could see the difference there. And I do think I have that black layering piece somewhere around here, but if not, we'll just glue it down. And then the other thing that I wanted to show you was the Merry Christmas in the black. So if you were going to do this in black, which would also be very cool. You could even do that on the white. So if you were going to do like the shadow, you know, you could do it like that. That'd be cool. Or if you just wanted in all black, or you could do it in green or gold or silver. It would be awesome. However you would choose to do. Okay, so that is our Merry Christmas card. Buffalo check that we're going to be using for the birthday card. I'm going to be recreating this. I actually sent this to somebody. That's why I don't have it here. But I wanted to show you the difference in the intensities with these. So this is just one go round, well inked, of the Pineapple Punch. This was when I inked it twice. And this was when I inked it like 4 or 5 times. So you can kind of see how it gets darker and how the squares get more bold as you go. So just depending on how many times you ink it, how many times you stamp it, you can actually kind of change the look of the color, which I thought was very cool. Okay, and then here is the Memento black stamped on orange. I did this for a Halloween card and I only stamped it once, and I really liked that it had that aged look. So you could always just leave it if it's not a perfect image, if it's going to go with the theme of your card. I also wanted to show you tone on tone versus the Memento black versus doing a color in white. So this is Blueberry Bushel. Again, this is either stamped once or twice, and this was stamped multiple times. So you can see how the intensity of the color changes. This is Blueberry Bushel on Blueberry Bushel. And then this is Blueberry Bushel with Memento black ink. So just so that you can kind of, you know, play around with it and see the different looks. And if you want to go and check out how my Blueberry Bushel card looked, I'm going to see if I can add a still image of the way that card looks at the end of this video, or you could check it out on Pinterest. Okay, and then for the Stamparatus, the last thing that I wanted to talk about was, because you get the 2 plates, if you are working, if you're working on multiple projects, so I like to mix and match a lot of my projects. So for example, you know, on this card, we have the Buffalo Check background, we have the Ride With Me set, we have the Wish for Everything dies, or the Word Wish dies. I also really love Rustic Retreat with the Buffalo Check. Sometimes I mix them all. So because I'm doing that, I have a bunch of, here's the Rustic Retreat stamp set. This is just a mention. This is only if you want to add these things in, if you've already purchased or you like complimentary sets. But I knew I was going to be working with this, with the Buffalo Check and with Ride With Me, and for the holidays. So I'm going to be stamping these images a bunch of times. I'm going to be using these for a bunch of different things. So on my other window here, so you get 2, okay? I set one up with all of my Rustic Retreat stamps because I know I'm going to be doing these over and over again and using them over and over again. I cut out my Whisper White paper and lay it down right in here and just stamp this over and over and over again. So here's how, you know, they laid out. You put your plate in the hinges and you stamp as many of these as you need. You color as many as you need and you add them to your card. So this way you can be set up for heavy stamping. If you know you're going to be making 20 of a card, 30, I'm going to be doing a bunch with the Rustic Retreat because this is a great theme for my family. So I can't wait to show you how the Christmas cards turn out with the Rustic Retreat. But just another idea for you. So if you need ideas, or if you're wondering, you know, what the best way to utilize your Stamparatus would be, background stamps, amazing. If you need to do multiple stamping of one set, or if you're somebody who gets a set and you only tend to use 1 or 2 stamps, this will give you an opportunity to try them all. So I hope you really enjoyed this video. Like I said, I will have more videos coming out. I'll have a birthday card with Ride With Me, and I'm going to be having some holiday and thinking of you cards with a combination of the Buffalo Check, the Rustic Retreat, and the Ride With Me. So stay tuned. All right, thank you so much. Have a great day. And I should end on the card, right?